So I think we have a really different philosophy about running a business, ultimately. And for me, it stems from really driving decision-making out to the edge of the business and making people accountable and responsible for doing their jobs and doing those jobs really well. And so the result of that, and that philosophy has sort of led to at least three experiments, if not more, that we've done over the years. And the first one, and probably the most impactful, was when I resigned as CEO internally. So basically, what I did was I simply said to the organisation that we no longer have a top of a hierarchy. That doesn't exist. There is no one to approve what you do. So now get on and do your job. And for me, I just became a contributor to teams within the organisation. And I think as a symbolic gesture, as a way of helping the organisation understand where we wanted to be, that was really, really successful, and in a large part still continues today. The second one that we did was really, we tried to implement Holacracy and self-managed teams, and I think for that we were probably, again, we were thinking about the whole spectrum of corporate to sort of valve type organisation. I think we probably went a little bit too much to the valve for what we were trying to achieve. And so I think to be a self-managed organisation and self-managed teams, I think that the individuals that work within those teams have to be really highly skilled at that. And when you're growing at the pace that we're growing, that makes it really hard to do. It's really hard to ensure that those teams are that successful. And so we've probably come a little bit more middle ground. We've worked out the things that we really like about the process, like the advice process, the way in which we engage with each other, far more focus on one-on-one conversations, etc. And that's been really successful for us. And then the last one, which is still ongoing, is this idea that we don't have a senior management leadership meeting. And really, again, the idea of that is that for our teams to interconnect and to work together well, that requires those teams to actually engage with each other directly and not in a sort of communal forum singing Kumbaya. And so whilst there's a lot of onus on me to have those one-on-ones with each of those teams, which I do, the idea is that those teams learn to work with each other independently and they work out what works well and what doesn't work well. And that's been really successful, I think, on the one hand. It is a big challenge for people who enter the organisation because they look at it and go, oh, what do I do all day? Where do I go? How does this work? Why don't we have those meetings? And they don't realise that the reality is all you need to do is pick up the phone and chat to someone, or you just walk to their desk and talk to them. And that's the model that we're trying to drive. No one is going to come and hold your hand and walk you to the meeting and sit you down and go, welcome aboard. It is about you being a contributor to the business and learning how to be successful in this business.